Yeah, hey, what's going on?
Oh
man?
shit!
Yo,
Okay, like that, like that, like that.
Y'all start playing my music and everything, you know? Hey, yo, it's the kid. You know I'm going rip. I got power. I don't stick to the script. Tell these rappers get the fuck up off my dick. You already know how thuggish the shit get. I'm from Queens and you know what I mean. I don't really give a fuck. Hit you with the triple bass. Yeah, you know. You already know we got the scales. You already know the heat is hotter than hell. It's like, I got bars like this shit. It's in jail cell. You already know it goes to me, you won't fare well.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, 50 Cent in the building. What up, Fifth? That was not scripted. That just happened.
Yeah, it just happened. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, microphones.
That was kind of hot too. I ain't gonna lie. That was kind of good job. Good job, 50. That was old Fifth too.
That was old Fifth.
Yeah,
That was old Fifth. That was the
That was.
Yo, what was the funniest? I was talking to the homie about this like a few months ago. Like, what was the? You remember? Because they used to flip the records, but like it wasn't like mixtape stuff. When they would flip it, they would like actually redo the song and like with the integrity. What was the selfish? Not selfish, but the Slum Village, the tainted. Yeah,
I know he did that one.
But the funny thing was like, you tell on me and you'll die.
Oh yeah. It was like, you bitch. Like, yeah.
Peak ignorance, like Jesus Christ.
Oh, that was one of my favorite mixtape joints too.
Yeah, G-Unit. Yeah, when they kicked it.
Yeah. 50, man. Yeah. Keep it real though, like some of 50's mixtape shit, when he would redo other people's records, like they were low key kind of hotter than the actual records. You know what I'm saying?
And that was one of the things that was like, you know, it was almost like revolutionary in its time because you had mixtapes circulating and all that, but what they did was like they took it to a higher level, like a whole nother level. So,
in many ways too, business wise, you know, the DJs, the bootleg DJ shit, Who Kid, a lot of drama, you know what I mean? Like a lot of cats and shit. I mean, like that's really got me into the DJ game was the mixtapes. You know what I'm saying?
It was a whole culture behind it. And I think that was one of the, you know.
Do you think? This is crazy that you bring this up. And by the way, Roqy Tyraid is here for the record.
You just jumped into it.
We just jumped right into it. That's how you know we've been rocking. But don't you think it's kind of crazy how a lot of people in hip hop today, like younger cats, I guess, this generation, really don't know the history of mixtapes and just what that was. Like you said, the culture. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you're one for all the culture, of course. You know what I'm saying? Bringing the culture back.
Yes.
But that's kind of, do you think that the knowledge and the education of that is kind of lacking today? And if so,
absolutely.
Does that really affect things?
Absolutely. Because, you know, there was a certain grit and like competitive spirit that came with like the mixtape era. And I was just talking one of the homies about this earlier today. Shout out to Amy from No Cap. You know, I was talking about how, like, really because of the DSPs like Spotify and all that, they won't just let us upload shit. So, like, I'm dropping these Tyraid Tuesdays, and I'm putting them on SoundCloud, and I'm putting them on YouTube, and on Twitter, not on Facebook. It's a whole nother story. Shout out to the observation board that has me banned. But, you know, like, you can't upload it to one of the most like popular like water wells, like, you know, watering holes for like music and stuff, and it really has an impact on the culture.
The culture, you
know, because there was mixtape Wayne, and then there was like label drop
Little Wayne, Lollipop Wayne,
yeah. So that's different. Like, you know, when Hov snuck in a couple records and whatnot, you knew it was like album rollout time. Yeah. But like nowadays, like we have the ability to put out mixtapes, but it's not really. The fanfare behind it is not really as exclusive as what it once was.
It's definitely not the same, especially for the DJs. I mean, you know, I'll be honest, like I really made my name in Arizona from mixtapes. Yeah. You know, me yelling on your records. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of artists in the city, their records, like it really put me in a different place today. And I'm just trying to think, I think that's why the approach in business and just the overall hustle as a DJ is different today, because a lot of the new DJs, they don't know that game. They don't even know what it was. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like even just for like, yo, Roqy, send me a freestyle, I'm gonna drop it on the next tape. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't even do that. Like where do we do that at? Like where is the arena for that?
Yeah, yo, remember like it got to the point where it was like people were just rapping over other people's beats like ad nauseum. It was like, yo, God, just make a real song.
It didn't matter.
Now it's like, give me some, like I want to hear you. You know, like I miss that competitive nature. Obviously, it's still there, but it's not as what it wasn't like what it was before.
Yeah.
And we could. The one thing about hip hop is we're innovative and we will find ways to make it work. And that's why you have your TikToks, you have your your Twitters and whatnot, your ability to get it out there and service it by any means necessary. But man, come on, DSP, Spotify, Apple, I upload it, but I'm like, how long until they delete my account?
Right. Well, you know what's crazy is I see a lot of shit ride though. I see a lot of stuff they let ride, and I'm just like, damn, like they got away with that. So it's kind of like it's not equal on all sides either. You know what I mean? So I don't know what it is, but
man, I'm hot on these internet streets, man. Like, nah. So Spotify's already sent
the internet streets.
Yes.
So you what's with the Tyraid Tuesdays? What is that about?
Man, I took off not even take off. I was talking to a music colleague, and they're saying stop saying that because it presents the illusion that you left. But I didn't. I just concentrated on things that I felt that were a little more pertinent to my own personal endeavors. Not to say that to knock other people for not doing that. It's just I really wanted to give the whole social justice aspect 110% of my energy, and I didn't really feel comfortable. I still honestly don't feel comfortable finding that balance between music and social justice work, because there's so many things that are literally life and death scenarios, and I'll talk about that later on. But in terms of no cap and whatnot, and creating a whole new department that will serve as a buffer between the community and the dangers of police culture. But going back to music, it's like, damn. I mean, I was kind of going to the studio here and there and keeping my skills sharpened and whatnot, but it was different. So now I feel like it's just been too long, man. I gotta shine my crown.
Oh yeah, of course.
Gotta get back on my throne.
You gotta talk that shit.
Gotta talk that shit.
I see you online too, and certain things may be happening in the culture, and maybe in the city. You know what I mean? And I can tell that things like that. You see it and you get you, and that's just a competitive spirit.
Oh, I'm watching each and every person.
As you should.
Each and every person.
Now, the last time you were here, bro, I want to say it was last summer, during a lot of the protests and the big marches that were happening in the city, and you had just came back. You were out a lot. You were out probably every night during that time, and you were really in it, and you were protesting, and not only that, but you were leading a lot of other people and giving information on what was really going on, even inside the protests and the marches from the police and everything, and what was really happening. A lot of people didn't know. I think a lot of people learned. I know I did. We learned so much just from watching your lives on how peaceful protests can be switced to
infiltrators,
infiltrators,
and things
and you would even point out there goes one right there. Watch what he does. You know what I'm saying? Look at this little white boy right here. And it really was, that was the situation. Then I would see it online, I would see it on TV, and I see the same thing. I'm like, damn, this is really happening in our city. And you were right in the middle of it.
Yeah, and I think it's important that we take the time to highlight the nuances of the protesting culture and whatnot, direct action, as we put it, but because it's politicized and negative and false narrative, in terms of creating false narratives in order to politicize the idea that we're out there creating, serving as a nuisance to the community and all types of nonsense. We have HB 2309, which is a bill that is really on the verge of being signed into law by Doug Ducey, which would really prohibit our ability to protest and exercise our First Amendment rights and assemble. Really, all the people that were just inside the studio before I stepped inside, if we're outside and we're screaming Black Lives Matter, or we're advocating for some sort of civil justice, they can say this in unlawful assembly. Boom, you get arrested. Boom, you get a felony. Boom, you can't vote.
God.
And these are things that you
can't. So these are things that are being proposed.
Yeah, that's an actual bill that has a very likely chance of being signed in by Doug Ducey. He signed in at 1357 or 1457. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of 1532, the crazy one about the they're trying to pass a law that you're not able to talk about racism and things of that nature in classrooms. That's a way to kind of whitewash history.
And they've been kind of doing that with the classes and in history and what you're talking about, certain classes what they teach in high schools too. In Arizona, They're taking away Mexican American history and culture in classes.
It's crazy. They're colluding with other members of the GOP party on a national level. I was just talking with a colleague about how that's taking place in Tennessee. I went off on a tangent real quick, but I was going to say that like exposing what's going on and providing a real lens is a way to show people that these things are necessary, that we need to at times be physical in our approach and demonstrate in ways that are able to get our message across, because at the end of the day, protesting is really a entry point to legislative change. And we started on May 26th, and now we're creating new legislation. We're in the midst of creating ordinance to talk about in terms of like creating departments like no cap. But go ahead, brother.
I wanted to ask though, because why doesn't more? It's got to, from your angle, you see what's happening from a different perspective. I think a lot of people are more reactive than proactive, right?
Yeah.
How can we get more people to really understand and pay attention to what is happening? Because a lot of the stuff that is happening, it's out there, it's public, but it's only going to affect really certain people. You know what I'm saying? And really, by the time people get hip to it, it's too late, right?
It's too late, and that's what we're looking at with some of these bills. And I would say that it's up to community leaders, to find them. You don't have to be out there every day. You don't have to be the most like woke or politically involved individual. But just to be educated enough to use your platform to say, hey, this is what's going on. I saw this on the news, or my council member in my district was talking about this. I disagree with this. This is why. Yeah. We are gatekeepers of a culture, and it's our ability to like make this palatable, to make it sexy even, is what's going to bring people into the idea that we can, play a role in changing this system instead of letting some socially, culturally disconnected elected official make unilateral decisions on our behalf.
No, that's like a big decision. You know what I'm saying? Even just the proposal and the idea of it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the protesting over last summer, obviously, kind of spearheaded from the George Floyd situation,
and Deion Johnson, yeah.
But overall, just with the recent, announcement with, the charges on the officer, you know what I'm saying? Do you feel that the protesting and everything kind of helped in that case?
Yeah. I was thinking about this. It's like it took us a lot of energy. It took a lot of energy, like in like concentrated effort for an entire year in multiple communities to get one conviction. So it like, especially with the black community, we're like, it's a sigh of like, wow, finally. But it really speaks to the amount of effort that we had to push for one officer to be held accountable. I mean, even when you analyze what happened with like George Floyd, it's treated as a singular event.
Yeah.
But really, this is just like a snapshot of the relationship of police culture and disproportionate
years.
The disproportionately targeted communities, the black and brown indigenous communities.
Right.
So like, and you can see certain politicians and certain news outlets like making it all about Derek Chauvin, and this is one officer who is a representation of an entire system that needs to be abolished.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, you know what I'm saying, your T-shirt that you had on right now,
abolish the police.
I think a lot of people kind of get that confused of what that actually means.
Yeah, we're not looking to create a state of chaos. This is a means to create a more equitable future. So in Phoenix's instance, we're looking to introduce a new department called No Cap, which is the Neighborhood Organized Crisis Assistance Program. And
neighborhood, say that one more time.
Neighborhood Organized Crisis Assistance Program, or No Cap. It's very hip hop because
I like that. That's what we need.
Yeah, it speaks to the intersectionality of like social justice and hip hop. It's all about the community at the end of the day. With both, they both dictate the directions that these things are headed in. But anyhow, so this is a department that would work with like behavioral, take care of like behavioral issues, behavior like crisis assistance, like substance abuse, mental health crises, calls pertaining to the unsheltered community. But really, when you expand that idea and you look at like the issues of where black and brown individuals are targeted by police, they all typically arise from calls ranging from like check welfares, which is just like showing up, a noise complaint, a traffic, like all the way to what is categorically defined as like a nonviolent crime because substance abuse and whatnot and things of that nature. Like,
and a lot of time the calls are from them. You know what I'm saying? It's the person making the calls.
Making the call that just needs assistance. Yeah. And so you have these cops that show up and, like the phrase that we use is you can't heal with a hammer. So why are these officers showing up? They look like they're dressed out of goddamn Call of Duty. Yeah. And they're condescending. They're not trained in literal behavioral sciences.
Let's bring that point though. What you just said. They're dressed like they're out of Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
They feel like that because they're dressed that way and because they're given so many weapons and armor and all this stuff that it makes them feel they're in a war or they're going to be in a war.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that I've been hearing about too, when you say abolish the police, that means pull back some funds.
We're going to pull back funds. We're going to place it into community mutual aid programs, things that are able to directly benefit the community. And of course, this program such as a department such as NOCAP. Because at the end of the day, these officers should not be in these circumstances anyways. Yeah. They shouldn't be interacting.
No, not at all.
They shouldn't be interacting with us. When you look at Deion Johnson, when you look at Antonio Arce, when you look at Dalvin Hollins, when you look at all these instances, they should not have involved into police violence.
Didn't have to go there.
They did not have to go there.
Right.
And police culture operates with impunity, and it's time to change that. So. I know I'm long-winded on this, but when it comes
it needs to be.
Yeah, when it comes to abolishment, people think of like right now, but we have to look at it from like a generational standpoint, not look at it from like such a singular, selfish, like what is my impact on time? That's not what's going to move the needle. We have to look at this like our grandparents, they did a phenomenal job in the civil rights era. Yeah. They passed the baton to the parents' era who basically like entered the workspace and dealt with all the craziness of like discrimination in the work field and then they kind of passed this on to our generation. Mm-hmm. And we're taking the past experiences and it's like kind of like when you're like holding a jar and you're trying to like twist the jar, like, here, help me out, and this person takes the jar and they open it, but it really speaks to the amount of pressure that you've been applying the whole time before you gave them that damn jar. Yeah. So by the time we get to our children's generation and their children's generation, we'll hopefully live in a system that has finally unseated systemic prejudice, systemic racism, and all its nuances. But it takes our efforts right now. And it's not the end all be all with NOCAP, because this is just a means to bottleneck this, but it's a substantial step.
No, absolutely. And I feel like as much as we've seen, especially with social media, on both sides of it, we see a lot more, from police and things that we weren't seeing for years and years. We see it now with social media. But at the same time, I think on the positive side, we're seeing a lot of change because of social media. So that's a positive way to look at it. And I think it's growing more than ever. Roqy Tyraid is here. Let's play some music, and then we'll come right back, all right?
Yeah, definitely.
Keep it live.
The fumes, awkward fucking dude. I lost a couple screws and cool. As far as rhyming, been the truth since Pogs and Dunkaroos. I'm just as good times, man. Whether or not you knee deep with 2 or 3 jobs and an EBT card and you need a restart. I'm getting better, so impressive. This is kid's potential. My head is bigger than the legends of the hidden temple. Perfection.
Classic shit. Classic hip hop music.
I'll take that.
Roqy Tyraid.
I'll take that.
I had to do that, bro. I had to do it because
thank you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look.
I ain't even from a performance standpoint. I didn't even thought about that in like at least a year, man. It's
you know
crazy.
What I'm saying? Like we got to remember. Like I said, I've been saying it. Some of the hottest spitters in the world, you know what I'm saying, right here in the city,
right
man.
Here,
and we're blessed to have relationships with them, you know what I'm saying? And we're blessed to have the music. Yeah, and it's timeless. Like these records is over the last few years.
Yeah.
You know, and you go right into the crates and rock it. You know what I'm saying? And it's timeless hip hop music. Roqy Tyraid, man.
Thank you. I'm glad to contribute, man. I had to come grab my crown back one time.
I'm saying. Hey. And look, if anybody disagrees, come get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said the same thing on this mixtape DJ shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We hold the crown over here.
We hold the
If you want it, you come and get it. You know what I'm saying? Period.
Yeah, man.
All right, so you've been busy again. Back to the music a little bit, but let's talk about it, man. Like it was 2020 was a little different for you.
Yeah.
For everybody it was different. But for you it was much different. You know what I'm saying? You were really in a different place because I remember when you came in here, you had just left a rally, a protest. You know what I'm saying? And it was crazy because like the police were getting out of hand and you were hot. Like your blood was still boiling. There was a lot going on in your head, I could tell. And you know, you really weren't in a place to really talk about anything else but that. You know what I'm saying? Which is understandable.
Bro, like, oh man, it's mental health is really important, man. So it takes a lot of that does take a toll. I can't even lie. Like just analyzing things in retrospect, like, you know, we started it's basically May 26th, the day after we heard about, what happened with Deion Johnson out here, what happened with George Floyd.
That was like within like a couple weeks of each other.
Yeah, and it's the same day.
It was the same day.
So let me tell you what's going on. Like, it's so effed up, bro, because like we show up because of George Floyd. And I remember being in the crowd, like that next, like, you heard of Deion Johnson. You're Deion Johnson.
Yeah, like, what happened?
What happened? What was going on? And you just hear the crowd educating themselves on what had happened and how it's so similar. Yeah. And it's just crazy, bro. Like, we basically started on May 26th and we went all the way through the end of spring into the summer, into the fall, into winter. Like, and we're still going in a lot of aspects because there's always something. They're always pushing back, and unfortunately, we have lost lives. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think it was heightened even more because of the political aspect of it. You know what I'm saying, with the president and the current political temperature in the nation.
Oh yeah.
It was very divided. Yeah. I mean, it still is, but it was very divided at the time because you had the election coming up in November, so there was a lot of stuff going on there, and ultimately, I think that played a major role.
It played a huge role. I'm gonna take it further. I'm gonna take it further because we immediately started educating people on like the the political system, their involvement in the political system. If they're white, we're telling them about white privilege, nuances of racism, because it's not just.
So you gotta take it to square one.
Yeah, we started from the nucleus and just expanded. So, and then obviously we got into like local politics. One of the things that we're talking about is not to vote for Alistair Adele. This is the the head of the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. They are so corrupt. This same office was sued by the ACLU. You know what I'm saying? And they're just mired in just scandal after scandal. And of course, like, oddly enough, we start recognizing, okay, it's not just like the police are coming after us, but like a lot of our colleagues are getting hit with like really crazy, like trumped up like charges, like felonies, and we started having this conversation. Like, I really feel like there's like a collusion, and then this conversation, like, it morphed into this entire movement. And as our colleagues continue to be arrested and people's like civil liberties were placed in jeopardy. Yeah. And the big bombshell was this crazy investigative report on ABC 15, and they uncovered so much stuff. I'm talking about, like, I talk about it in the Tyraid Tuesday thing, where there's like racist challenge cards that they were handing out that commemorated like violence against protesters and civil rights movements and whatnot, and it had like neo-Nazi symbolism on it, and these are things that are just
this isn't within the police department,
the Phoenix effing police department, bro. Like, they were handing it to each other. One of the people that had it was one of the chief officers in the protest that was overseeing it, Lieutenant Ben Moore. This is there's real cases of like movie-esque corruption that was just uncovered by the local news.
It doesn't seem real. Like,
by the local news.
I did hear about this. I think it goes back to accountability too, because is there not like a blue code or brotherhood or something?
Absolutely.
Like that?
Okay. It's a fraternity.
Right. Okay. So regardless of your color as a police officer, you know what I'm saying, you are to uphold whatever it is amongst your brothers. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, you can't snitch. Even though they get everyone else to try to snitch. That's ironic, right?
Right.
Right. But the biggest thing for me is, why is that? I think that's the biggest problem, though. You know what I'm saying? Because if one officer, and I'm not saying, we need police officers. Police officers are good. Not all of them are good. There's bad ones, obviously, but there are good
like
ones.
This: honest cops are a myth. They don't have an ounce of liberty. They ain't safe unless they disavow accountability. Like you are aware of things that are going on within your your circle. You're literally
just as guilty.
You're just as guilty.
Facts.
So I mean, if you like have relationships in your workspace and you go out and drink and you form these extra departmental like relationships, do we not think that the police officers will do this too? I mean, we talk about movies. They make movies about this all the time.
Yeah.
This code of silence. And when you look at these challenge coins and you look at these cases of police brutality, and these aren't things that are just like murmurs in the hallway. These are things that are like knowledge.
Outright.
This is like professional knowledge. So, there's no way to say that, they're good ones, because if you're silent, you're aware you're complicit.
You're just
we have to be honest about it.
When I say good ones, I mean they started as good people. You know what I'm saying? And in order to uphold that and be a good police officer, you have to call out bullshit when you see it. And if you know it, your partner, whatever it is. Otherwise, you're just as guilty as everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of the biggest thing for me. And the fact that doesn't happen kind of just says a lot for the whole system.
Yeah. So, we can go into the etymology of like policing. It came from like slave patrols and all that type of stuff. But like really, my biggest thing is like, when people they try to address this issue by saying police reform, you need police reform now. You cannot reform a broken system.
Right.
These are people who are just given exponentially like exorbitantly high amounts of funding to address issues that they fundamentally cannot resolve because of the inherent corruption in the system and the fact that they're placed as warriors, because they literally have this code of like being a warrior and conducting yourself as like you're in a war zone. Just the issue of like placing them in these communities. Yeah, there's no reason for them to be in these communities, and that's another reason why we're looking to create a program like No Cap. And I'm gonna keep it real. The city was made aware of what we were doing months ago, and we're speaking with district offices and stuff like that. And there's rumors that were coming up that like city manager Ed Zerker is gonna like come up with like their own iteration. They're gonna mirror it around Cahoots, which is like this legitimately humanitarian program in Eugene, Oregon, that's been operating for decades. What our department, our iteration of what we like to see is based off of. So of course they introduced this during the budget meetings. It's hella vague. There's like feelings that these individuals who are representing this program have pro-police culture, like ideologies and things of that nature. And it's like they're trying to get in front of this and stop us from creating something that would truly benefit the community. Because at the end of the day, man, these police departments, they are legitimately a pathway to white supremacy and the death of black and brown and indigenous human beings. And we're out here to change that. Absolutely.
And I feel like the more and more people are educated, because I think a lot of people just don't believe that this is real. Even me, man, like I hear things and I'm just like, nah, that can't be real. Like this couldn't really be happening. Like, we have to have more trust that a government would look out for all people. You would think. So I think a lot of people are fooled by the fact that, and this is in general, bro, like all government shit, media, whatever it is. Like I don't know what to believe anymore about anything, honestly. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've come to. And if that's what the goal was, well, they succeeded there, because I really, with social media and everything,
they tire you out.
It's facts.
And they don't want you to participate.
Exactly. And I feel like education is very important. But one thing I wanted to go back to, because you mentioned, educating even white people about, just as much as like, the basis of everything. You know what I'm saying? I noticed during last summer marches, I went to a couple of marches and I saw a lot of white people. Yeah. Fighting, and marching, screaming out Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Deion Johnson. What was your take when you saw that?
They're really about to fuck with this protest now, which they did. I mean, because at the end of the day, like, oppressors don't really care about what the oppressed are saying. It's when individuals that fall into that social like cadre, like that demographic, is when you start having those awkward dinner table conversations. Yeah, that's when they can't escape their accountability. So when we saw these white folks show up, we were like, okay, we're just gonna educate them about the system. Right. And
they're here for a reason.
It was like that. You know, when people start to recognize that there is this system, that it isn't just this conversation, it isn't just this race card or whatever issue, that it legitimately is a real, palatable, tangible issue, and that everyone plays a role in this issue, then it's like, okay, well, what can I do to change it? How can I be further educated? How can I educate my peers? How can I distance myself from these individuals who refuse to look at it from, you know, the standpoint of love and empathy and championing your community? And it was like really like you could see bulbs going off. And I quoted this like 20 times in the past like 10 months. There's a cat named Jonah, this white dude, and he was talking about like his experiences came from not just researching stuff online, but really involving himself in other communities and, like understanding from like a humanitarian standpoint, you know, with racism, it's all just ignorance based off, you know, things that you're unaware of, right?
Right.
So if you're cut off from this demographic, you may lead off word of mouth and prejudice and things of that nature. But when you get out there and you involve yourself with other human beings and you see that they're, you know, you are different, but in a beautiful way, in a way that I would like to champion, just like you would like to champion my differences, that creates a tapestry that is humanity.
They don't want that.
They don't want that. As soon as we started doing that, they started severely cracking down.
Damn.
So
what's next though, bro? Like, where do things stand now as far from your angle? Because you're really tapped in with a lot that's going on. I know you pay attention to a lot what's going on with the courts and the judges and just a lot of the bill stuff. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of people don't hear about till it's, like I said, till it's too late. So at this point, what should people really be focusing on? And in order to, you know, kind of keep the momentum of because I feel like there is a momentum, especially with like, you know, the politics side of it. I mean, obviously something happened. More people came out and voted. Things are changing. I think people woke up.
We legitimately turned this. We can say we turned it purple. We're not going to say blue. From a superficial level, you could say blue. But from like a legitimate like paper level, we did turn it purple. From a progressive level, we did turn it blue though.
Yeah.
We did turn it like from a more, I know people are like looking at it from like a bipartisan standpoint. What I mean is like we help create and nurture a progressive outlook for a community that, again, was tired of these conversations or really just didn't know where to begin and where to find their truth in. So what's next? I would say advocating for departments like NoCap. So go to nocaphoenix.com, NOCAPPHOENIX.com. Learn about how this is beneficial to the community on a universal standpoint, and sign up to speak at City Hall. Man, we had like 120 people show up or to speak at City Council. These are just rando people who believe in the same thing. So, you know, they show up and like, hey, you know, thank you for having me today, you know, mayor and city council members. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. We need, money that's, geared towards the community. Stop funding the police. Like it's crazy.
The more and more they hear this, you know what I'm saying? It's got to become like, okay, let's talk about this. You know what I mean? Like knock on the door 100 times, you know, finally you're going to open it, you know what I'm saying? Or at least peek to the people, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I really think that it is progress is being made, but at the same time, man, like, you know, when things die down, people forget, you know, other things get distracted. I feel like because of COVID too, and everything was shut down, you didn't have no NFL, you didn't have no NBA for so many months. Everybody was just watching their phones and watching what was going on. People had time. So, like, you know, it kind of heightened everything else, which is a good thing, too, because people were educated, like you said. But now, everything's back open. People are still dying. And there's still fuck shit, you know what I'm saying, going on with and things that are happening behind the scenes. So, like, what should people do? What's the best way to kind of just stay involved or just be on top of things?
Please keep that algorithm strong and don't stop talking about these things. Like, what we did is, you know, as a society, also because we didn't have the advent of like social media and whatnot, like we just kind of let it be what it is. Like, we got upset, we got in the street for 2 days, and we just kind of let it devolve from, or, you know, dissipate from there. But continue to have those conversations, because right now, the change that this nation created, like everybody across this nation on the same wavelength, there's literally like efforts of collusion between different states, GOP parties and whatnot to draft some of these crazy bills that will stop what happened last year from ever happening again. That'll stop people from educating themselves on issues of discrimination and various things that are pertinent to our society. So we just have to keep that conversation going. I know, like, it may seem like like a little redundant to some people, but it really isn't at the end of the day. Unfortunately, unless we continue to apply pressure and we continue to dig into the ground and pull as many roots, it's just going to continue to grow and fester, and we're going to continue to lose lives. And that's why no cap is important, because we have to be proactive instead of reactive when we need to save lives.
Let me ask you just a general question, man. Like, I think a lot of people, it might just be too much for a lot of people. I know, like, with my wife, like, I would watch TV, I try to keep up on things. I'll be on Twitter, like watching what's happening real time sometimes. For people like my wife, she doesn't want to see it, because not that it's not important to her, but it emotionally it stirs up a lot of things. And because it's so hard to, like, what are we going to do about it? Like, how can we change? There's nothing we can do right now. Overall, why is this happening? Why are there bills being put in place? What in the grand scheme? What is it?
They're trying to preserve their power and through racial stratification, through discrimination, through white supremacy. This is literally what's happening right now. I mean, like, they're creating it's so backwards and destructive. Like, a part of this ideology ran up in Washington D.C. Like it's so.
It feels like it's like extra because, or maybe the last administration, but even then, it's not like we're losing control. We're gonna lose it all if we don't hold on with something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like
yeah. So what I'd say is, like, a fire is most violent before it's put out. So what you're seeing now is, especially within Arizona, the AZ GOP party, the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, they're in a state of fear. They feel like they're backed against the corner. So they're just like other avenues or in other communities, political communities across the nation. They're like, okay, let's just throw out these crazy bills. No one's paying attention to this aspect because they just talk about protesting. But we're going to draft these crazy laws and just pass them by and hope nobody notices them. Yeah. But we have time today. Shout out to Progress Arizona for that too.
And that's the beautiful thing, and that's part of it right there. Education and, like you said, having time. You know what I'm saying?
We have time.
No, this is
you think, like, yo, come on, man. We all have Canva. We can make infographics and educate as many people as we fucking want, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
I think those days of thinking that other people aren't as smart or educated or hip to things is kind of over, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can go on TikTok and you see a lot of those individuals are, like, in their early 20s at the least in some cases. These are champions of the future, and they're
absolutely
very much with it.
I think those ones right now are learning so much right now that I think we're going to be okay, in the years to come. But it's very important. Yo, go back to being that you've been in marches where police have gotten crazy. It's almost like it's games, you know what I'm saying, where they circle around and things like that.
It is. It's like chess games. It's what it feels like. Yeah.
When you watch footage, or maybe in real time play out on the Capitol, was January 6th. When you saw footage of that and how the police reacted compared to peaceful stuff that you've been involved, what was your first reaction to that?
I see two sides of the same coin.
Yeah,
the police are just looking at their friends like, from a ideological standpoint. I mean, if you were involved with a march to the Capitol, a peaceful march to the Capitol, in the same situation, same day, you know what I mean, but obviously different, how would that have been treated differently than how it played out on? If it were semblance, like if we're remotely close to what had happened in January, it would be historically lethal. So
that's the difference right there.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It would definitely have been a very dark day for American history. because if there's one thing that police wants to do is to serve as a weapon for white supremacy, and whether they are cognizant of it or not, they still operate in the court because they enforce these laws that uplift these ideologies. So when it's not just about like approaching the police department, it's about approaching these bills that are being drafted that protect them and protect them from accountability. And these bills that are enforced to, create economic violence, things like cash bail systems and things of that nature. That's just a means to keep certain demographics impoverished. So when we say abolish, we're not just talking about abolishing the police. We're talking about abolishing the system as we know it. And again, it's going to
switch it up.
It's going to take a generation. It's going to take some time. But as long as we continue to, like I was saying earlier, twist at that can until it pops, we're going to see the change that we want. We may be old, watching AARP commercials, but we're gonna get some real change done out here, and I truly believe it.
Yeah, I think overall it's headed that way, and I feel like that's the reason why we're seeing so much pushback, crazy pushback too. Repeat the no cap one more time so people can.
It's called the Neighborhood Organized Crisis Assistance Program. This would be an independent department. This is what we're pushing as a community out here in Phoenix, Arizona. This would be, in theory, a independent department that's comparable to your EMT, like your ambulance, your fire department. And they would service and specialize in areas like behavioral crises, substance abuse issues, calls pertaining to the unsheltered community. Because as you see, they are stratified and profiled. We can look at what happened with Muhammad Jr., a black brother of the unsheltered demographic who was profiled and killed for trying to use the restroom. Yeah. If we had a department like No Cap, you would have been able to send out 2 individuals. It would be 2 units, someone within behavioral health and like a social worker who's able to lead with empathy, lead with humanitarian standpoint rather than policing, rather than this aggressive force and anxiety exuding nature that the police are known to provide. Yeah. And we have created 18 fundamental requirements that would see this be completely fleshed out and independent. This would involve taking a substantial, we had budgeted $20 million that would be taken from the police budget reserve or the police budget and allocated towards this department. The reason why is because if they're taking a substantial amount of work from the police, then some funding should come from that department.
Absolutely.
We know that it's politicized, but we view it as a practical thing. But yeah, we would see this program not work with police, not report to ICE, not have weapons on them, and not use violent de-escalation tactics. This is something that a community is really growing and galvanizing around, and it's kind of scary in a good way to see just how quickly this idea can evolve into like a legitimate movement. And again, this is separate from what the city is trying to pass, which is highly performative, ineffective, and super police culture on the low. They're called CAP, a community assistance program. Garbage. Basra. Not good. No Cap, Neighborhood Organized Crisis Assistance Program. That is what we need. That is the department that we need in our neighborhoods. I can guarantee you that if we had something like this in our community, the amounts of violence and the instances of police brutality would drop exponentially. And that's what we need.
Doesn't hurt to try either.
I feel like, man, we already did things that are considered impossible last year, brother. I feel like we can continue that momentum.
No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So. We salute you, Roqy Tyraid, man. In more ways than you know.
Thank you.
Know what I'm saying? You definitely have always been a leader in the community and upholding the culture and hip hop and holding the crown, you know what I'm saying, from all aspects. But even more now, man. So salute to you, sir.
Thank you, man. We all about Phoenix around here, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm sure this is where we at.
Yeah.
We have I got some these records right here. You want me to play this?
Yeah. So
Tyraid Tuesday.
Tyraid Tuesday.
So you've been doing this the last couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, last few weeks. I feel like I'm finally getting back into the whole music aspect of things. It feels great. Support all over the field. Some of my legends have been loving it. It's amazing.
Let's get
Check
to
it
it,
out.
man. Let's get to it. Roqy Tyraid in the building.
Never will my growth stop. I'm a low tops on the throne, made a soapbox. Phone mobs make a phone of a troll cops. If your goals are performative, you're a conformist or performative, no sense of faux pas. Your mobiles are broke plot. Your formative soda I don't buy. You can sort with patrolman, you told lies. Try to play both sides, child the same roadblocks. Below the pole line, it's harder to provide. Economically roadblock. Black faces and cages. I ain't rapping about cold minds. Signal chat, cold talk, fucking activist cosign. We no tragic, it's chattel. We were dragged for the show line. You past that. Your ancestors worked their magic. It's showtime. The channel my inner Deion Sanders, your boy's prime. Whoever claimed they won't dance when they reach their goal line. Any given Sunday, niggas and kids and women are victims of gunplay. The type of pig doesn't pump fake. Blah! I'm calling all the bull as I see it. Animaniac, I'm not a good ass idea. Yeah. The desert's best, don't ever second guess it. You could be the next contestant. Collected the checks a blessing. One day I may flip on niggas. Baby said I'm fresh and reckless. Penting at a bed and breakfast. If it hurts, get a rental. Rap, I lean it out the window. You must be the pet detective. Committing murder on waxes and fashion. You'll do anything for some traction, huh? I get it, can rap so fun. Clive Stubblefield, high slap the drum. No 3 strikes, I must be white. I clap on one. All the captain is backwards, son. In 21-12, killing blacks for fun. Almost no one in the scene showed up in the streets. Mine is Kyrie, some from my team, my brother Dupree. Record summer season, uncomfortable heat. Screaming to fund the police for all the injustice that they done with reprieve. Muhammad pleaded for his life while he struggled to breathe. Deion Johnson homicide, James Garcia shot departments live. Both cases tossed aside and not so much as a tweet. This subpar bars and hustling tees, shucking like that frog from the WB. Took a couple seasons off for a comfortable lead. Just when they thought my run is complete and they restructured the league, the bubble is breached. All politics aside, I come to compete. Your whole starting line's lunchable me to pull your audio file and cuckle you beat. I'm a fucking machine. Say the back and forth for the racket court. You ain't with the status boy, a pair of black Air Force, my anamorph. I wrote the whole plot, can never stay complacent. Stacey Abrams, I'm at your door. If it's war, knock. When will you learn that you finish? Ray Rice, we ain't been around birds that admit it. Citywide initiative, boy, we working on clinics. Crisis assistance programs, are certain we'll get it. Revolution's incremental with purposeful living. Can you dig it? Yeah, Tyraid Tuesday. Let's just get to work.
Tyraid Tuesday.
DJs. You don't have the real talent, home, your style is stolen. Shine nonsensical rants in your little camera phone like you're Alec Jones. Sample platter, other rappers don't have the palate for it. Y'all some damn conformists. In my lifetime, never seen such a bad performance. Al Jolson, y'all transform to a real nigga when the camera's rolling. Allegories hate violent prone, that inflammatory shit sound force. Going back and forth, banging on the net like a power forward. That entire trope has mileage on it. Don't support your little childish motives. Y'all the crowd from the Source Awards, and I'm Calvin Brodus. Handing me a bicycle off the rack is the only time that I've ever be downspoken. DoorDash up around the order since y'all goaded. I was malnourished. The bills of power sit final notice. Peers sick of hearing my trials. All sought counsel. Discovered how to file a motion. Y'all tokens. I'm black, proud, now spoken. Tell a bigot I'll snap on you little white ass like Titanic when the bow broke. I'm Cal Drogo. Rap battle, that's a towel thrown. Hope you found employment. Either way, you looking at an L like a palindrome. I should pilot drones the way I look down on enforcement. Follow orders, your spirits all in the cloud floating. Stay on to be a download from file storage. You get dispatched, no wrist slapped, no badge forfeited. Get buried like you out foraging. The police chief is lower than the ground floor from Planet Corson. How many horsemen I count for from Maricopa County Attorney's Office, Board of Supervisors, Phoenix Police Department, GOP Party. Y'all ass is moralist. When I say y'all in cahoots, ain't talk about the vans in Oregon. Y'all gave one cop the boot. Y'all should have reprimanded more of them. Yeah. Even though they can see your harm and stuff squeeze regardless. Hit you with the can, Stephen Austin. Leave your garment looking like you try to clog a leaky faucet. While the chief shot clean the cloth, she bought an Neiman Marcus. She's unbothered. 100 officers, Brady listed, which features corporate police misconduct. Alistair Riddell, lead prosecutor, cease to charge. DSP, George Safantes, Deion Johnson wouldn't let EMT take him to ER hospital. We all watched it. Camera footage for the PR departments. Beyond doctor, y'all neo-Nazis. GOP try to defeat our progress. AZ, HB 2309, talking peaceful marches. SB 1333. HB 2310. I will make defending police unlawful. Need your involvement today or tomorrow. Shit's gonna be your problem.
So we're gonna get ready to play number 3, and that basically recaps what has been happening in the past year in terms of like protesting. I was talking about the police like colluding with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office in order to suppress the movement and potentially throw people in jail and false gang charges, all sorts of stuff, man. But yeah, I think it's best explained by just listening. So
I mean, this is incredible in every way, man. Like in any, you just gotta listen to this, man.
Challenge coin fallout. Neighbors now voicing their concerns directly to Phoenix leaders after ABC 15 exposed through our politically charged series a commemorative coin that was shared between officers to celebrate shooting a protester in 2017. The coin plays on neo-Nazi hate speech. These neighbors, though, also upset over how police handled protests from last year. Protests that led to gang-related charges for some of those involved.
Yeah. Neo-Nazis in the Phoenix police force took ABC 15 to report their bigoted imagery on cheap coins, racist themes to commemorate scenes from 2017 when Grenadier Chris Toriano shot Josh Corbin and degroin one of these trinkets. Receive up in more lieutenant routine, but oversee most BLM peace with protests for people. Predatorily arrested felonies for yelling in the street instead of misdemeanors. Wait until they leave the snatch and fitted vehicles. Apprehend leaders if black they keep them. Cash privileges be like NFTs. Property seizures, wallet and keys they use. Tear gas that's banned by Geneva. Say ACAB gang enhancements Rico. Statement extracted from read the report. Name of the rat every dac when it's legal. If I the rats, they can land a subpoena. Francis tractors. We have dinosaur government actors attacking black leaders. PD from Mesa, Gilbert and Phoenix. Scheme with the fans, we to believe a reform. Shitty really going well, huh? Dealing with a real life on sale, huh? Some get compromised, suddenly commit suicide or spend a life in jail, huh? Eminent outcome, but the same day as our brother in Malcolm. In 1 week, our social experiment turn the city upside down like Eloquence album. Police when you plead, got their own plan. Nothing they wouldn't do for the gold badge or the payroll / toe tag. Put a bag on your head, Rorschach. That's no cap. We need a neighborhood organized crisis assistance program. I want this initiative so bad. I'm about to give it to you like Joanna. What up? Yeah. April sponsor nickname so insane. Politicians call it Amistad for a convicted black man that shit threw in chains. Attorney's office and police colluded fraud gang charges during you know who campaign. Funny since August we told all our protesters not to vote for you but name. How the fuck's not vote suppression? I'm about to give the ACLU a ring. Out of Sterudale ain't excuse and blame. Tom Van Dorn alleged uses of a burner Twitter to stock defenders to defense attorneys to the local precious more or less confronted and more question brother he's connected suddenly the record spurs but suspects him further due to super lame. House Bill 2309 potential law passed with halt marches of responsive blacks getting shot in traffic. Walter Blackman is a Tom for backing it. The antithesis of Colin Kaepernick on guard but cancel them. Had a year to hear our demands, not a problems national. Coming midterms for y'all disastrous. COVID mishandled at the cost of lives and y'all stopped embracing mass. Doug Ducey politicized those kids inside them concentration camps. He's trying to save face and placate the little Ronald Reagan stance. Heard his White House campaign is planned. Make sure you don't nominate his ass. Cop drones at press conferences, plain clothes and binoculars. Unmarked vehicles but they stocked us with. Some of us have been doxxed by them, dropped the charges. Investigations embarrassing. Fucks to say about y'all character. Just nothing great about America. We ain't scared of you. Tyraid Tuesday 3. Tyraid Tuesday 3. Tyraid Tuesday 3. A lot of change coming, a lot of change coming. They picked the wrong generations, y'all. Hey. It's our job to utilize the culture to move the truth into the people on the front line. Salute the troops.
Man.
Everything's a direct action.
Wow. I mean, this, I know you, but for those who don't know you, like, this is things that you've been doing for years and years. And you know, I learned so much just in these last 3 records that, you know, it's like, damn. I mean, number one, like, I've been educated through your words in records. Like,
I'm glad.
I remember we were doing the podium shit, and every week I just listen to you, and you would spill the whole news. But like, this is stuff that's happening in the community that we live in. You know what I'm saying? In the state and the city that we are in, and you know, as frightening as it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's beautiful the way you do this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
thank you, man.
It's a skill that I don't think a lot of people are able to do this. You know what I'm saying? But it's Roqy Tyraid. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, man. I'm just glad to be able to use, you know, my giving gifts and skills to, you know, anything that can help move the needle and you know help create a progressive spirit and whatnot.
Absolutely, man. Damn. I mean, there's so much that we gotta go rewind that back and, you know, break it down. But okay? So how many of these are we expecting?
You know, like, I'm gonna continue to do the Tyraid Tuesday stuff, like, you know, just drop very frequently. You know, I tend to go in different directions. I don't know if I'm gonna continue. I don't know. I'm just having fun. How about that? I'm just having fun.
Keep it going. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just having fun. Like, you know, I may drop some freestyle. I may drop a song. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Well, we love to hear it, man. And you know what I'm saying? I'm always blessed, you know.
Thank you.
I know that when I see the email Yo, check the email.
Yeah.
We got some shit.
Man, it was good to send you some records, man. It's definitely been a minute. So
no doubt, man. Where can people keep up with you at?
So you can hit me on Twitter, Instagram. That's Roqy Tyraid, ROQYTYRAID. That's just me across the board. Please add me on your DSPs, your SoundClouds, your Spotifys, your Apples. We out here. But again, I talked about the music. Please, it's so important. NoCapPhoenix.com. This is a department that we need to have in the city. We need to pressure the city to adopt the fundamentals and the ordinance that we're drafting and sending to them. So this is gonna save lives. It's legitimately gonna save lives. Let's stop seeing black and brown people as hashtags and t-shirts. I'm tired of it. Let's create some things that's really gonna benefit our kids' futures. Let's do that.
Absolutely, man. And there's so much more. It's deeper than all of that, but this is definitely a beginning for change. And we appreciate you for coming in and educating us on that. As always, man, it's love. It's love. Roqy Tyraid.
Thank you.
Okay, much love, man. Let's I'm gonna play some music and we can take some pictures and be back, man. Keep it locked.